Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to LoadedTV's education series. Today we're going to be talking about a couple common problems. Now these common problems you have either already experienced or you're bound to experience eventually if you're riding a longboard and you're not maintaining it. So, we're going to go over a couple things. With this here fat tail, that definitely needs a little bit of love. I don't think these wheels exactly spin either. That bushing is looking a little funny. And this one is just a little too loose. This washer spins. And I'm pretty sure if we rode this on the ground, it would rattle. First thing we're going to talk about is obviously your bearings. A lot of the time, if you're just skating around your city and never really paying attention to your bearings, they're going to get water in them, they're going to get dirty, and then they're going to stop rolling like this. To make sure that your bearings will stay rolling is by cleaning them. I know it sounds like a daunting task, but it's honestly not that bad. This is a bearing. It has a shield right here, a plastic one that can be easily removed, but on the other side, it's kind of already open and easy to throw in lube and stuff. But if you wanna make sure you get all that grime and dirt and city grease out of there, take something, preferably not a razor blade. We don't have anything flatter or sharper, and you're gonna wanna pop off that there shield. Boop. Easy as that. Ta-da! Now your bearing is fully exposed. Let's say we have all of them off. Now, Bones makes a very nifty bearing cleaner. We've been using this one for years, as you can tell. You can just throw all your bearings on here. Boom, 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 boom. Stack them on, tighten this sucker. Take some isopropyl alcohol. The higher the percentage, the better. It means it's gnarlier and it's gonna take off more grime and grease and dirt and grit and nastiness. Pour it into this here bottle. Maybe even take a sip. No, don't take a sip, sorry. I had the cap on. Cap this whole sucker, and now you're just gonna spend a while just shaking it around. This might take a good minute. You're gonna eventually see that that alcohol turns into a really gross brown liquidy substance. You can almost see it right now, or maybe that's just the bottle that's dirty. That is all that grease, dirt, and nastiness just slowly coming off your bearings and making them clean once again. Now, after you've finished that, you're gonna take all your bearings off and you're gonna apply a little bit of speed cream or some lube or some 3-in-1 from Home Depot. That can work really well to keep your bearings hydrated and lubricated so that way they keep on rolling. The reason we like to use alcohol is because it dries really quickly, and if you're using water and soap, I mean, that does clean and it can lift a lot of grease, but you're using water, which is gonna rust your bearings. Alcohol is much more efficient and gets the job done, and you need less ingredients. Easy way to clean your bearings. You don't exactly have to buy this precise thing. You could easily make one out of a Gatorade bottle with a long enough bolt. Make sure that it's under 8mm so you can fit your bearings on there. Make sure to get a screw at the end too. Our light just went out.
This is a classic in LoadedTV.
All right, so the next thing we're talking about is that terrible squeak that you will definitely get in your trucks, especially if you don't pay much attention to them. Now, where does that squeak come from? It comes from your pivot cups, yo. Because when rubber dries out, it gets brittle, loud. Oh, that just sounds terrible, right? Look at it. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but it's drier than the Sahara Desert. And basically that squeak you're hearing is that dry rubber rubbing against the metal pivot of your truck. Now, how are you gonna get rid of that? You can put oil in there, but then your truck gets gross. And it actually accumulates a whole bunch of dirt when you're riding around, and it's not gonna last that long even. Easy, quick solution that you can find in your house is right here. Some bar soap shavings. Take a razor blade and cut away from yourself, and shoot, just a little bit of them there shavings. Go right into the pivot cup. Not beautiful, but it definitely works. And now we're gonna jam that pivot back in there. Oh my God, it's so much quieter. It's amazing. It's glorious, it's science, it's science. This is actually what it is. Now you're gonna put your bush in and your washer back on. And I lost, no I didn't, and I found the nut again. Now you got silent, smooth sailings for the rest of your life. Well, until you need to do this again. But 1 bar soap can last you, years in terms of maintenance for your pivot cups. Now, another solution, some people like to do that, do this instead of the soap, is use pencil lead right here. You do the exact same thing. You first find your razor blade and just do a little bit of shavings off, like so. Just a bit, but obviously you want all that to go inside your pivot, and it'll help silence the pivot as well. So honestly, whatever you have closest to you, use that. because you can just do this whenever. You don't need to get fancy with it. These are home remedies taught by a stay-at-home mom. Doctors hate her. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Switzer, Tamara Protter, or the Switzers, or the Protsters. Did you guys blend them? All right, back to the subject at hand. You fix your pivot squeak, but you're noticing a whole bunch of rattling coming from your board. Don't know what it could be. It could be a multitude of things. That's basically, you need to tighten down your kingpin, so that way the washer doesn't go jingling around once you stand on your board, and compress the bottom bushing, giving that washer a little bit more room to rattle and jiggle and wiggle and just be super annoying. Or it could be that you did not tighten your bolts all the way. I can spin that bolt. It looks like it was pretty tightened, right? But then when you're riding, all of a sudden it gets a little bit of freedom and this thing just rattles around. Not only is that gonna make your truck a little bit squirrelier and a little bit weirder when you're riding, you'll notice that it's just kind of constantly turning and twisting on you, and it's just not a very stable ride. It will create a lot of noise. Why bother with dealing with that when all you need is a skate tool and you just tighten those suckers down? You kind of want your setup to be one smooth, clean machine. So for us, we have to use the Allen key. Just tighten this, da-da-da-da. Super simple, anybody can do it. Oh, another light. Oh, that one's catching on fire.
Turn it up, turn it up.
Our
lights are worse set up than this skateboard.
Our lights burned out, but whatever. We're just gonna keep rolling because we went through 2 and the 3rd one isn't working. Yeah! So we were talking about making your board silent. We fixed the squeak and now we're dealing with the rattle. Make sure to tighten your bolts. That is a source of sketchiness for your trucks to be wiggling around and turning a lot more than they should. And well, this is a top mount, so you know, your bolts will always hold your truck in place because there's pressure and gravity. They do exist. The earth isn't totally flat. It's always like a constant joke for LoadedTV. It's shaped like an egg. But if you're riding a drop-through board and your bolts are not all the way tight, you're bound to eventually snap those bolts. Your weight is being supported by those bolts. Since you're pushing down on the board and the board is pushing down on the bolts rather than on top of the base plate, tighten your bolts if you're riding a drop-through board. It's good for you. And don't forget to use washers too. That also extends the life of your board. So you cleaned your bearings, right? Now they're spinning, but then we still look at this wheel and it's still not spinning. What is wrong with it? And you also find out that maybe when you do loosen up this nut, all of a sudden they can spin, but then you try sliding. Oh look, see, now it's going, but then you try sliding and it's like just honking and screaming and being annoying and stuff. If you've never opened up your wheel or taken your bearings off before, it's always a good idea to do it, especially if you just bought a complete longboard, to check to see if you have spacers. Notice that there's nothing here, all right? One bearing. And then the other bearing. There's no little tube in the middle. That tube tends to look like this guy. Spacers are highly, highly, highly underrated by most people who own a longboard. What does a spacer do? It pretty much connects this inner circle right here of this bearing to the other bearing in one solid fluid system. Put that bearing back on, right? Beautiful. Stick that bearing in, there's the spacer, you leave that bearing there, you put it all back together, right? It's rolling for now. Don't forget your speed rings, these tiny little washers, they actually kind of do help and make a difference. Put that on the outside and then put your nut back on. This is a really dirty wheel. I wish we chose a cleaner one, but you'll probably be experiencing the same thing. Tighten it all back down, and now it's as tight as it'll go. It doesn't want to go any further. We need to clean this bearing, but now it spins. Now it spins, and when you slide, it's gonna sound smooth and consistent. This is just better for the health of your wheel, for the health of your bearing, and for your own personal health. And maybe not your hygiene though, because you slowly get dirty. Also, the nice thing about having bearing spacers is that you're less likely to blow out the core on your wheel. If you don't have this thing, and you just have one bearing space and then the other bearing on the outside, and your board were to hit something really hard, let's say you're doing a trick, and then the wheel takes a heavy, heavy side load, you're very likely to have the bearing just bust through the bearing seat. So throw in a spacer, it helps keep all that homogeneous. And don't forget the speed ring. These are important things. Unless, of course, you have some fancy bearings that have a built-in inner speed ring like such. See how they meet? This is just 2 bearings. the inner race of the bearing is extended, so that way when you put it together, it creates the spacer for you. So you don't need the extra piece. There's tons of brands out there. Loaded makes some. The Loaded Jehu V2s, they're super cool, but check out Zealous, check out Built-In, check out Seismic. Find a bunch of different ones if for some reason you don't like pink. But with these, they're nice. So you put them all together, just 2 pieces, and it creates the spacer for you. Boom. Who needs 5 pieces when you only need 2? Now we're gonna take a brief break to introduce our very close friend, Ryan Sheckler, wearing a muumuu. Ryan.
Hey.
Thank you, Ryan. That was amazing. That was the first installment of Common Problems, Part 1 of the LoadedTV education series. This is very low-level board maintenance, but it can make all the difference in extending the life of your longboard, so you don't end up having to get a bunch of new stuff, you know? A lot of the time, you just need to fix what you got, and you don't need to shell out another 20 bucks to get some new bearings or something. Just clean them, or throw a spacer in there. You could find spacers at hardware stores for like what? I think these are 2 cents each sometimes. Make sure they're 8 millimeters. They need to be 8 millimeter. You want your whole setup to be one smooth, streamlined machine. You don't want any rattle or anything because that just sounds janky and people don't think you're as cool. Overall, just makes your board feel much, much better. Leave a comment down below if you think we forgot something or you have a home remedy of your own to fix bearings being slow or maybe squeaky trucks or some rattling. Or if you've ever had any of these issues and you don't know how to solve it and we didn't answer it today, leave it down below in the comments section and we will try to get back to you as fast as we can. It'll probably be like 10 minutes. Just drop it in there and we'll hit you up. Hope to see you guys next week. We're gonna be doing a spotlight on Mr. Ari Chamasmani and the life he lives here in LA. That'll be coming to you at 12 p.m. Monday, PST. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Bye. I'm honestly not sure who put this board together, but it looks like it's been around for a while. And since it's a fat tail, I'm gonna assume it was once Ari's and he doesn't take very good care of his stuff. Maybe we're spoiling him. Or maybe, you know, or maybe one of us set it up. Or Donnie. It's not like Donnie knows how to put together a solid setup. Psych, I'm kidding. Donnie, if you're watching this, I apologize 100%. It's my bad, please.
I think we got it.
Okay.
We're throwing a party with unicorns.